Relief for customers as easipay system restored. Fiscal Commission cautions government on right use of service grants. And Bipi Islanders to turn seawater to fresh drinking water.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. Good news for electricity users nationwide. PNG Power's easipay meter system has been restored. The service was restored after encountering major technical faults since Monday morning.
It was a relief for many electricity users in Moresby today. As soon as a notice was made public by PNG Power Limited that the easipay meter system was restored, they queued up at the office headquarters to purchase the units. Since Monday morning, the easipay meter system was unserviceable after encountering major technical faults.
Because some of the industrial areas too, they need only losing business now. So all those loss of business and damages that they're causing, who's going to meet those costs?
All our food stuff has been spoiled. I'm talking about domestic, but when you look at the commercial area and the industrial, it could be, very costly. And I don't know where we're heading to now,
Meanwhile, a test purchase was conducted at the PPL headquarters in Port Moresby. Vending will also be opened at all PPL offices nationwide. easipay vending sites were also opened, including mobile SMS. This is to control traffic and prevent overloading of the system and also another crash. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Residents of Mendi town are aggrieved by the behavior of the Joint Security Forces who attempted to take out the 84 disputed boxes to Mount Hagen for counting on Sunday. They described the shootout between the security forces and locals with guns as a terror attack. As a result, 12 people reportedly received bullet wounds and are being hospitalized.
EMTV News arrived days after the shootout between the locals and the Joint Security Forces. The locals say when they heard that the security forces were in Mendi to collect the disputed boxes, they tried to protest not to take the boxes out. However, they were late as the security forces already blocked all the entrance to Mendi town. Then there was a heavy exchange of gunshots between the security forces and the locals, which saw many civilians receiving bullet wounds. The Joint Security Forces traveled by road to Mendi in the early hours of Sunday morning to take out the disputed boxes to Mount Hagen for counting. However, the locals say they could not easily allow the boxes to be taken as they were disputed, and secondly, there was no electoral officials accompanying the security forces. At a public gathering on Monday morning in Mendi town, the public condemned the action of the security forces, saying they did not respect their voices, which are in the ballot boxes. Many of the youths and innocent people who were caught in between the gunfire said they jumped over the bridge.
Southern Islands, mi magemaus, as an emblem meeting to me like Togosel. Mi plan now, mi plan ograt youth, mi plan stop. Mi plan dialogue name Southern Islands because mi plan like him service na power.
3 women were among those 12 people who also received bullet wounds. Wendy Wambe, who broke both of her knees, tried to escape when she fell down and got injuries. Representing all the mothers and children in Mendi, she said they had sleepless nights for the last 2 months.
So people like in this counting, one of them stop long and up long, one long and must finish.
The mission by the Joint Security Forces of PNG Defence Force and Police, who went to Mendi to collect the boxes, failed when the situation became tense. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Madang police have confirmed an armed robbery where suspects got away after robbing a supermarket yesterday morning. A number of unknown men stole an undisclosed amount of money and fled in a Fifth Element Toyota Hilux. Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Jacob Singura says police gave chase, but the suspects got away on a waiting boat. Martha Louise with this report.
It is reported that the suspects at first attempted to hold up Happy Mart supermarket right in the center of Madang town, but failed. Quick response from guards working on site prevented the suspects from robbing the supermarket. The suspects made a second attempt at Lion Investment Plaza just opposite the Kalibobo exit and got away in a Fifth Element.
In town, one of the shops was held up and, the suspects again escaped by dinghy, and our officers are pursuing them right now, but we have not received any reports yet as to the suspects.
Superintendent Singura says there is an increase in armed robbery cases where armed suspects are walking into shops and holding up employees at gunpoint. Police officers are now ordered to be vigilant and are also tasked to search any suspicious persons in the town vicinity. The general public and the business community are also urged to report to police of any suspicious persons. The public and the business community are also tasked to provide police with any information of the suspect's whereabouts to assist police in its investigation. This robbery is one of several armed holdups that have been happening in Madang province. Last Thursday, an unknown number of armed men held up passengers of a PMV just in front of the LBC area at Newtown. Then again on Friday, at least 10 men armed with 3 factory-made pistols and other weapons held up employees of Rooks Marine. The employees managed to fight back just in time for the police to intercept the suspects. A number of suspects are now in police custody.
We have had an increase in robberies, particularly armed suspects walking into shops, holding up staff or workers in the shop and going out with cash boxes.
Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Madang.
The National Health Department will endeavour to focus on the cancer treatment facility at Lays Engau Hospital. Health Minister Sir Puka Temu said this is because Engau Hospital is the only radiation treatment centre in the country. Sir Puka admitted there is no oncologist and that he will present a bill to settle the issue once and for all during the September Parliament sitting.
We will be bringing the legislation on the radiation management and control bill, hopefully in the September sitting of Parliament. We are waiting for the State Solicitor to clear that. Once that law is in place, then we will know exactly what to do. For example, the cancer unit in Engau, we will know what is the standard of equipment that we will bring in.
The illegal dumping of waste in the outskirts of Port Moresby has raised serious environmental concerns. A resident told EMTV News the customary land has been used as a dumping site by contractors, disposing their waste without permission. Locals have taken the issue into their own hands by digging out ditches to bury the rubbish.
This area belongs to the customary landowners from Koyari Central Province. For almost 2 years, it has been used as a dump site.
Also come lo big night na dumping rubbish. Lo area blo mi plan na morning mi pesa lugo smo boxed area blo mi plan rubbish and pull up also dumping cooking na go na environment blo mi plan.
The illegal dumping has caused disturbances to the environment and its inhabitants. Locals say the once hunting ground has been destroyed by human activities, which have forced wild animals like wallabies migrating to further inland. Local authorities were alerted but have not given a positive response, and locals are concerned on the environmental impacts the disposal of waste might cause.
District government agencies only willing to help me plan. So me plan what me plan work him now and tamol come dump him no only go him. Me play at community, me play to want a council, me play now, me play boom now. Me play come up on the initiative where me play trying to protect him environment, me play. So me pla start to dig him all pits. Now after all dump him no go, me pla dig him all pits now, me pla capsate him all PPR, rake him, boom him, put him over go inside all pit, me pla bury him again. The main idea is to protect our environment.
Local Ward 2 Councillor John Aure was very disappointed and wants to put a stop to this illegal activity.
Me no hamamas through long one companies na all this line all come dumping rubbish lo have this line no rubbish area. So now me like to also me like him stopping this la probably come dumping rubbish along this la area.
Authorities concerned have been called on to intervene and stop the illegal dumping of waste on their land. Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Nivani's General Manager David Stein has responded to the recent termination of the contract by the West New Britain Provincial Government and the PNG Games Host Organising Committee. Mr. Stein says the matter is now before the National Court in Kokopo to settle their termination of contract to construct sporting venues for the coming PNG Games. He says Nivani had agreed to complete the remaining sporting venues at a cost of 3.5 million kina, but due to a non-payment, Nivani has delayed its construction work. Following the termination of contract, the West New Britain Provincial Government has further engaged a Port Moresby-based Korean company on a 7 million kina contract. Mr. Stein says the termination meant that the West New Britain Provincial Government has lost all of the warranties, indemnities and certifications that came with the original Nivani design and construction proposals. He says they will challenge that in court. Here with Wednesday's news, Works Minister tours the Buluminski Highway in New Ireland, words of caution to government on right use of service grants and a viable water solution for the Bipi Islanders of Manus. Those stories and more after these short messages. Welcome back. The National Economic and Fiscal Commission has cautioned the national government to ensure goods and services grants are adequately used on its purposes. Chief Executive Officer Hohora Suve says the 2014 Provincial Expenditure Review signals the government and its agencies to tighten their fiscal spending.
The 2014 Provincial Expenditure Review, titled Game Changer, was launched today. Mr. Suve pointed out that provinces need to structure spending on service delivery from internal revenue in their first quarter. They must spend according to the minimum priority activities on a consistent manner.
Deputy Prime Minister, we've been having these workshops. Well, since I joined in 2008. But we take this data back to the provinces. And this data the report that we are launching now was actually taken out to them 2 years ago. You can see it's 2014.
Provinces should also strengthen compliance on spending to improve expenditure. Simbu Province has maintained its expenditure over the last 3 years.
Hearing this, what people are saying about it, and we're trying to see if we can better assess provinces on service delivery by perhaps linking our scorecard to other indicators as in the HDI or other available benchmarks. And for that, we've spoken to UNDP, and it's not ended yet. We will also talk to La Trobe University, a few other people. And I know that Minister of Public Service has also made some remarks, so we are talking. But this is one of the scorecard we have is one of the few measurements left that gives you some idea of where provinces are.
Meanwhile, Treasurer Charles Abel thanked NEFC for producing such reports that provides guidelines towards spending public grants.
It's very, very important we try and make this exercise holistic, that we are cognizant of many of the other activities that are going on separately in relation to improving these sorts of activities. And it's not easy when there's a lot of noise happening, and you can get subsumed in that noise. When we can also be conducting separate independent exercises that can be very inefficient. So it's important we keep in mind the end objectives, and each agency in government that is doing this good work is recognising some of the other activities.
Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Under the national government's WASH policy and in partnership with the Japanese government, a seawater desalination water supply was officially opened yesterday in Bipi Island, Manus Province. The water project is the first of its kind in the country and will give the people of Bipi fresh and safe drinking water.
Bipi Island is a 5-hour boat ride northwest of mainland Manus. Being a remote island on the fringes of the Pacific Ocean, access to safe drinking water has been a long-time problem.
Some years back, the time drought came up, it was really bad. People must pull go the way to the mainland, like Seawater.
Yesterday, a first-of-its-kind water project was launched on the island. Called the Seawater Desalination water supply, this piece of Japanese-made technology converts seawater into fresh, pure water. A total of 3 have been built on the island.
It's a very simple machine, complicated to mass. See how system the machine work, and it's just simple. From the well, it comes along treatment one, and it goes to the tank, finish, make a drink.
The project itself costs 15 million kina, and the National Planning Minister Richard Maru urged the people of Bipi to take ownership.
Before we go to other islands like Low, Park or whatever, we have to show that this is a sustainable project. So for me as Planning Minister, I want to roll the program onto other islands. But we must first show this is a sustainable project. And I think to me, that's our biggest challenge.
Manus MP Job Pomat, who initiated the project back in 2009, wants to see this roll out to other islands, not only in Manus, but other parts of the country.
Be like, look him, the supply must come up success story. Now you mean Manus, you pilot him. Now you must come up, long all our plahap, lo Papua New Guinea, now you mean too, you make a plenty of island, is not long way. The time blow sun, is a simbagarap, long wara, laga.
For the Japanese government, the water project is to show their support to combat climate change, something that is spoiling fresh water sources for many islands.
My visit to Bipi Island today has confirmed the seriousness of the problems we are facing. Therefore, I am very happy that this project will help serve the most basic need of the islanders by establishing a sustainable water supply system using Japan's advanced technology of seawater desalination.
The water supply technology is fitted with 2 3,000-liter tanks and is powered by solar. It produces up to 300 liters of water per hour and can run for at least 4 to 6 hours a day. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
Maintaining TFF infrastructure remains a challenge for a school in West New Britain Province. Banaule Primary School head teacher Alois Luba said despite receiving high priority, projects remain incomplete. Mr. Luba said more support is needed.
Banaule Primary School is situated along the Hoskins-Kimbe Highway. It is one of the primary schools in the Hoskins area of Thalassia District. In the past 2 years, the school has received government's TFF component. Head teacher Alois Luba says the school is benefiting, however, they still need support.
Materials are very expensive. That's why it is not complete.
This week, a team from the Education Department Policy Division visited the school. 2 teachers' houses were built, including a new classroom. However, support funding is needed to complete the building. He says a submission is before the West New Britain Provincial Government.
Unfortunately, it cannot be maintained regularly, those houses, because of the funds.
Banaule Primary School is building a new ablution block for its students. A Rotary Club is also helping the school. The head teacher believes if adequate funding is provided, the incomplete projects will help the school. The Education Department team also visited other schools to see how the TFF policy is implemented and how the department can sustain the policy. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
The Senior Child and Social Welfare Officer in Lae says more than 200 cases of child abuse are reported every month. Emily Bosky said with the new Lookout in Pikinini Act, everyone should be educated on children's rights and the penalties served to the offenders of child abuse. The community leaders of an LLG in Lae led the awareness program today on child protection.
The Senior Welfare Officer in Lae, Emily Bosky, deals with 50 new cases of child abuse each week. Few of these cases are child labor, emotional and sexual abuse. Bosky said these cases of child abuse arise from negligence and lack of support from the parents.
Child protection is every business, and we would like to have the community take ownership of it, meaning community level, leaders at the community level must take care of this child protection issue and deal with it.
These came after the Family and Sexual Violence Action Committee, headed by the Chief Metropolitan Superintendent in Lae, saw the need to raise awareness in communities concerning child protection. The FSVAC in Moresby was formed 10 years ago. Back then it didn't have an office. It was revived in 2014 with its main objective to work closely with the survivors of family and sexual violence before justice is served.
We make sure we move the client and the service to access all the services that they need to. And the services are Family Support Center for medical reports, medical examinations, Family Sexual Violence Unit in the police. That's where there's a civil case and criminal case also report them when it comes to domestic violence and stuff, and the welfare office.
According to the Senior Welfare Officer in Lae, child abuse is happening every day and everywhere in the country. Under the new Lookout in Pikinini Act 2015, every child, including children with special needs, need to be protected with love and respect from adults. All parents and guardians should spend more time with their children to prevent child abuse such as child labor, physical and sexual abuse from happening. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3125 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.305, $0.3764 Australian dollars, $0.2512 euro, and 33.25 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day higher. Crude oil is trading higher, palm oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 61.49 points higher, the ASX closed at 0.26 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 0.11 points higher. National EMTV News continues with more after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Several government departments and agencies in Port Moresby might face the consequences of being locked out due to the outstanding rental payments. Number One Super Limited, in a letter to the Treasury Department Secretary, said further lockouts have been approved with dues be paid on a timely manner. Meanwhile, the Public Solicitor's Office is also locked due to outstanding rental payments.
Number One Super Limited with its subsidiary Waigani Asset Limited have written a letter to Treasury Department Secretary over outstanding rental payments. The letter dates September 12, 2017. 5 government departments and agencies still owe them and include Treasury, Finance, Health, Lands and the Internal Revenue Commission. Cumulative outstanding rentals from January 2017 to end of July 2017 account close to 33 million kina. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary to the National Government Isaac Lupari in a statement said an audit of the current management of office leases by state will be conducted. This was a direction from the Prime Minister to review the operation and management of all office leases in the country. He said the state annually is spending close to 250 million kina, which is a huge expenditure. Mr. Lupari said that he expects every government departments and agencies in a leased office to cooperate with the audit team to ensure the 6 weeks investigation is completed. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Treasury Minister Charles Abel says supporting government agencies with their rentals has always been a major cost to the government. He also says previous attempts to get government departments and agencies to operate out of one central government office location has had its unique challenges. He says there has always been a pushback by government offices themselves, preferring to be housed in rented offices. Mr. Abel's comments come after the appointment of a technical team by the Secretary to Government to assess once and for all if all rental offices are being utilized efficiently to perform the work of the government.
We were hoping and had planned that many of our government agencies would relocate to Waigani, to the offices down, the new offices, central government building, and of course we've made some space at Morauta House and the Manasupe building, begin that process. And so we budgeted to make some savings there of about 100 million. Unfortunately, the public service hasn't responded in the way that we would have hoped. So we are now finding that the budget has got some shortfall. So it is one of the measures that we are addressing in the supplementary budget. So we're doing our best to find some funding to catch up on some of that rent. But until we increase the funding allocation in the supplementary budget, it's difficult to spend that money because it's unbudgeted. So this is an issue that we're having with the rentals.
We've never had these problems in the past. That problem started this year. It's a budgeting issue. It's not a cash flow issue.
Participants from the tuna industry from across the Pacific region gathered in Port Moresby today for the start of the Pacific Tuna Forum 2017. The event, held under the theme Fostering Greater Social, Economic and Financial Benefits through Sustainable Tuna Management and Development, was officially opened by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill.
Representatives from the tuna industry across the Pacific region gathered in Port Moresby for the 6th Pacific Tuna Forum. This year's theme, Fostering Greater Social, Economic and Financial Benefits through Sustainable Tuna Management and Development. The keynote address, delivered by Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission Executive Director Feleti Teo, focused on the current trends in the tuna industry as well as some challenges that remain. Mr. Teo began by providing an overview of the fisheries sector in Western and Central Pacific, which in 2016 provided significant revenue for countries in this region.
I think it is important that members of the industry present at this forum get a feel of the dynamics of the broader landscape upon which and within which they operate in the Western and Central Pacific Ocean.
In line with developments within fisheries, Mr. Teo encouraged the tuna industry to remain committed to developing small to medium enterprises, especially in regards to building capacity.
The catch level for 2006, total tuna catch, is estimated at 2.7 million metric tons, and it is valued at 5.28 billion.
According to WCPFC, the tuna industry is a good example for other fisheries products to follow, with tuna fishing, processing and packaging companies using innovative technology in their operations.
And they include the expansion of fishing capacity in the Pacific, especially the continuous expansion of large purseine boats equipped with high technology and the use of fats.
The Pacific Tuna Forum concludes tomorrow. Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
Organizers of the Pacific Tuna Forum 2017 were forced to defer the opening session following continuous power outages. The outages, counting to 15, happened during the forum's keynote speech by Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission Executive Director Feleti Teo. According to many present, this was unacceptable and an embarrassment, especially with Port Moresby preparing to host major meetings, including APEC 2018. EMTV News was informed that the venue's backup generator had been negatively affected by continuous power fluctuations, which caused the disruptions. However, this problem was rectified during the lunch break, with the program continuing on, albeit way behind schedule. University of Goroka will now open its doors in NCD. A memorandum of agreement was signed today between UOG, Waigani Christian College and the Higher Education Department. This will see the establishment of the UOG Southern Campus.
The upper executive of the University of Goroka were present this morning to join founder and director of Waigani Christian College, teachers and students to signify the partnership. The MOA signifies the establishing of the UOG Open Campus at the college.
Many of our students from NCD will be able to enroll here to upgrade themselves and can continue to pursue their career dreams.
The occasion is a big step forward for founder Benjamin Moole. He says it's not the infrastructure and other necessities of partnering with UOG, but for quality, accessible education opportunity for all Papua New Guineans.
You want to do your postgraduate or diploma or master's, or you want to get your PhD, you are not going to go up to Goroka. Everything is here.
The Southern Regional Open Campus will operate under the university's Institute of Flexible and Distance Learning. It will offer UOG's programs to interested non-school leavers and in-service teachers in the region.
We are not only offering teacher qualification, although that is our strength. And because of the strength, we are bringing our strength, we are bringing our best to NCD. And
a plaque was also unveiled by the different stakeholders in embracing the occasion. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Two retired servicemen who served as bagpipers in the Army and the Correctional Service say they want to see more support being put into developing the art of playing the bagpipe. The former corporals are still being sought after for their skills, but say it's time younger people take up the task. Problem is they lack the equipment and funding to run classes for upcoming military bagpipers.
Retired PNG Defence Force Corporal Bulom Billy and retired CS Corporal Luke Alaupa share a common love for music that goes back many years. Their instrument is the bagpipe. In the early 70s, both men entered the service separately and were trained as pipers in the Correctional Service and the PNG Defence Force.
Me training finish long Goldie, me post long 1st Battalion 1 PR on Taurum Barracks. Me established long vehicle Delta Company or infantry.
Ex-Corporal Bulom is a former infantry medic. He joined the Australian Armed Forces when he was a teenager in 1967. In 1975, he was one of the few Papua New Guinean bagpipers who ushered in independence.
Me stop 8 years past time na independent come up. Okay, time Queen come and me play in Kisimam long. Section Chapel long. God of Honorable Queen. Big problem. Every year, people looking long, independent long, 1975 flag race long, Hebert Mar Stadium, and missed our result. Time me pass out long, training me go inside straight long, Ben. Split time one black white man, I mean, Ben instructor.
Ex-Corporal Alaupa was a band instructor in the Correctional Service. He was trained as a bagpiper by the government. In the 1980s, he and the PNG team won 3 awards in an Australian competition.
Plenty music, I play him. Me yet, I like him. And play one time, heart blow me. Me not just play him because me like play. But me play him, I like him straight and I play him one time. I'll get a tin blow inside.
Every year before independence, the former ex-servicemen gather to rehearse for the celebrations. This year, both men say the new generation has to take up the task.
Me like him, but me must like him, some man, young man. Because me play now, me play go down now. So me play must kiss him, this is how me play, me must pass him, me go young play. From this work from Ben must go yet, from Moresby province. Me like him proper instructors. On this plus side, money can come. Can stop na equipment na instructors. Only stop on a proper instructor na equipment. Enough equipment all by practice na stop. Proper instructor stop one time all by teach him all good.
Both men are able to read and teach music, but in order to teach, they need funding to buy materials and instruments. It is something nobody takes seriously until big occasions like Independence Day. There's a small group of bagpipers in the country keeping alive the old Scottish military tradition. Every year they grow older, with the art facing a relatively bleak future. Scott Whitey, National EMTV News, Lae.
Works Minister Michael Nally has completed an inspection on the 30 kilometers of the unsealed section of the Buluminski Highway in New Ireland Province. It stretches from Pinati Village in the Kavieng District to Paul Village in Namatanai District. This 30 kilometers makes up the 260-kilometer highway which connects the two districts. Construction work is conducted by Dekanai, and Provincial Works Manager Solomon Pela anticipates for finished work by August 2018. Minister Nally was impressed and commended the people of New Ireland for maintaining the highway for over 10 years. He was accompanied by Works Secretary David Were. The police dive squads have been searching Christchurch Lake this morning for two missing people. A car drove into a lake at West Lake Reserve yesterday evening, and the witness saw two people in the water.
The police dive squad are still working to recover the two bodies here at West Lake Reserve. We spoke with the officer in charge of the search a short time ago. He has confirmed that they have now located both of those bodies near the car. They're yet to formally identify those two people, but they are believed to be a local couple, married couple who are originally from Fiji, who have a baby together. That baby was being looked after by a family member at the time of the incident. They were here last night, as was an eyewitness who we spoke to. He said he heard a car rev and drive into the water, and the male followed trying to rescue her.
I went down off the bank, down the hill into the lake, and then the man went into the water and swam after the car, and then the car sunk. Then he swam down and came back up a couple of times. Then it would have been about the fourth time he went down and didn't come up.
Family and friends have lined the bank here on the lake for most of the morning, waiting for those bodies to come up. Police and dive crews have now called in a crane to retrieve that car out of what's approximately 6 metres of murky water in the hopes that they can soon return those bodies to the family.
Chukai Sports is up next. Stay tuned for details.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Paul Barrier Trophy received a wow welcome in the historical town of Wau yesterday as the trophy went on the pilgrimage to the birthplace of rugby league in PNG. The townships of Wau and Bulolo turned up to welcome the trophy, with school kids lining the streets and welcoming the trophy with flowers.
The trophy left Lae for Bulolo on a chopper flying through the mountains of Moresby province. A number of local Wau and Bulolo residents who participated in some of these games in the early 50s and 60s also took part in the activities welcoming the trophy.
Thank you everybody who made this day very successful.
The trophy was then escorted in a long convoy to PNG Forest Products.
It's like to wish the sponsors and the 2017 World Cup a great success. I hope that everything works out well for you all, and thank you very much for your sponsorship and bringing the cup to the home of rugby league, Bulolo Wau. Thank you.
After the stop at PNG Forest Products, the trophy was then airlifted to Harmony Gold Mine. With support from Harmony Gold, WOW residents as well as people from nearby villages turned up in numbers to see the trophy. Men, women and school children lined the sides of the road to catch a glimpse of the prestigious trophy. Sing Sing groups led the trophy into the WOW Rugby League field. Many residents of WOW and school children gathered on the field to welcome the trophy. The first Rugby League Cup, which was played for in the late 1930s, was revealed.
WOW versus QEL na DCA. Qantas and Fire Airways na Department of Civil Aviation. When it come Lobalus or they come pull out here and play lo WOW. Now Orlando where? You know Orlando Port Moresby, you know Orlando when up. I think they come to Australia. You know what I mean? Now the first cup here is that here. You know what man. Fight your man, please. That's the cup, but we try and base lo put him lo hand lo PNGRFL by staff lo put him hand lo wow lo. Plenty setting in loose lo hand, that's all we preserve him staff here. Close to 45 years me holding the trophy.
The trophy tour continues as they travel to Goroka tomorrow. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
To snooker, debutant Ikupu Ovia is the new BSP Minor National Snooker Champion after defeating newcomer Harry English 4-1 in the best-of-7 frames at the Lamana Q Club in Port Moresby. Whilst congratulating the winner, tournament director Joey Chan said both finalists were newcomers in the competition but played like a seasoned A-grader. Meanwhile, Ovia gains automatic entry into the major finals, which commenced yesterday. The major BSP national titles queued off yesterday with 40 players, including current champions Marcus Ning and former 8-time champion John Fong, looking to defend his title. You're with Trukai Sports. Stay tuned, we'll have more after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Team NCD General Manager Kila Dick gave an update on his recent visit to Kimbe, where the 7th PNG Games will be held. He said from his observation on the ground, most facilities have been finished, with the main stadium scheduled to finish on the 31st of October. In Kimbe, accommodation and transportation for the team have already been organized and are now awaiting final team numbers.
Firstly, visit HOC, the Host Organization Committee, and find out the progress of the venues, and also check on the team NCD accommodation. So at the moment, there are 13 provinces that have confirmed, and team NCD is one of those provinces confirmed to participate. But having to say that, on my part too here in NCD, I want to make sure that our team NCD is ready for the games. There are a few managers who are not been able to attend meetings that I have called for, and I put them on notice. If they don't turn up for the meetings, then obviously I would have to drop those spots and the teams.
And that's a wrap for Trukai Sports tonight. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight in the southern region: fine and sunny in Port Moresby, mostly fine although partly cloudy in Daru, Kerema and Popondetta, and cloudy with a shower or two and windy in Alotau. In the Momasa region, mostly fine although partly cloudy in Lae, Medang and Wewak, and few showers, then fine in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, thundery rain showers occurring, then cloudy in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, and fine although partly cloudy with some evening showers in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, mostly fine although partly cloudy in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Wednesday, 13th of September. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.